Howdy folks and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another tutorial episode of War in the East 2. In this tutorial, I will briefly go through some of the most, let's say, difficult or not so easy to grasp elements of the logistics phase report. Essentially, this report gives you a highly and extremely detailed explanation of what happens during the previous, let's say, logistics phase that comes before the air planning phase. I'm just playing as the Soviet Union in this case. I already went through the air execution phase. I'm just in the ground movement phase. And yeah, so this report gives you exactly all the information about what happens during the logistics phase. To access it, you have to go to the info screen and then you click here on this, or either you press Shift and E, and here comes the logistics phase report. Now I know the first time you open this, you will be overwhelmed because there is really a ton of information. Some, if not most of this information is very, I would say, user-friendly. So I will briefly go through all of these elements, and yeah, we will see. I will just focus more on the things that are not really well explained in the manual and that can take some time to grasp. So first of all, let's deselect all and let's go through these boxes one by one. Factory damage is pretty much self-explanatory. It gives you the factory, the hexes, and the percentage of the damage. Freight. Now this can be, let's say, not too easy to understand, but in this first section here we have the army freight data. So supplies needed, received, lost. This rep FR and rep MN indicates the replacement, or better, the freight. Sorry, this indicates the freight used for the replacements, and this indicates the manpower used in the received in the replacements. And here is the amount of freight received for replacements that got lost. And here you have the HQs. Now, in regard to the HQs, here are listed all the HQs between the high command and the army level. Now, the high command, and by the way, only the HQs present on the map. And for the high command, the I would say army group or front, and yeah, for these two, for the high command and army group / front, the amount of supplies needed and received indicates the supplies needed for the HQ units and also for the units directly attached to these HQs. While for the army levels, the amount of supplies required indicates the supplies requested by all of the units, so including support units, just like in this case, but also army corps, divisions, brigades, and everything below everything within the command of these armies. And here we have the totals divided between ground command and air command. And then we have the depot freight data. Is not indicated here, but in this first section, we do have the national supply sources. And how do we know it? Well, because here we do have the total freight capacity set at 20, I think it's 2,500,000 tons of freight. The only exception in this case for the Soviets are the depots of Yerevan and Nakhichevan. Then we do have the in this very first section here. Then we do have the export ports. Then we do have the import ports, and then we have the remaining priority from 0 to 4 depots. So yeah, it's not labeled here, but this is the let's say distinction between these 4 blocks of information. I know they could have added a small column here, a small header saying, okay, these are the depots, blah blah blah, and yeah. Anyway, and I don't know why is this one here. I don't know if something is missing here, but anyway, we do have the totals, the amount of trucks used, the ones lost in the movement of the freights, and then we do have the total amount of tons of freight lost. Then we do have here something that nobody knows what is what it's indicating. Freight usage types. Honestly, I have no idea. I've been trying to play around with these numbers in Excel, but I just can't figure out any formula behind these numbers. I don't know what other depots, what depot fuel, depot trucks. I have no idea, honestly, and I'm really sorry about that. And then we do have the different seasons with the different amount of cargo ships used, if any has been used. And then we do also have the civilian consumptions in terms of supplies and in terms of fuel. Then we do have the theater boxes. Here we do have the information about the training, so consumption of fuel and aircraft losses. And here are, let's say, in more explained in more details what has been lost in terms of planes, and also if you have any loss of like here of manpower. And of course, as you've seen in the previous tutorial, I think if you have a high intensity fighting in the theater box, you can expect to have higher losses. The air execution is an incredibly detailed explanation of what happens precisely at every turn, both day and night. I'm not gonna go through it because it's just to give you an idea. But also one thing that maybe I didn't mention when I was talking about the air, let's say air war section, is that at every let's say day of these phase, some planes can be repaired. Of course, if you have damaged planes, and then this is also affected by the air skill of the commander of the Luftflotte and or the commander of the air armies. And yeah, so it just gives you an overall explanation. And here it doesn't show it in this case because we haven't flown any mission in the last air phase, but here you will see a list of your planes friendly targeting which have been destroyed, damaged, or yeah, again, I have no idea of what these damage points are. Population should tell you, from what I understood, whether there has been a relocation of some of your population from the centers that were bound to fall into enemy hands. Replacements gives you the precise list of all the replacements that were, let's say, distributed in the logistics phase, and is divided for air bases in terms of both, let's say, equipment and manpower. If some elements were damaged and then have been repaired. You will see it here. And rename occurs when some of the units do have an historical, let's say, renaming in terms of their nomenclature, like it happened at the very beginning of June 22nd, that all the military districts were renamed fronts. Surrender, if any of your units just surrenders. Arrival, we've seen this in one of the previous tutorials, but this also tells you precisely um, what has arrived, or also what has moved between, I don't know, the map and the Western Europe theater box, or other theater boxes. And yeah, so in brackets you see the amount of men, guns, and armored fighting vehicles. Leader gives you it states whether a leader has died, and who is his new replacement. Upgrade is something that I never discussed before in the production phase, but um, um, upgrade refers to any unit that changes its table of organization and equipment, like in this case the 155th Rifle Division. It says is reorganizing, and will return in 14 turns as the blah, blah, blah. But also in terms of equipment and planes, if an equipment is, like, I don't know, if a piece of equipment is now considered as out of production, and you have some of the new equipment already in the production pool, then the new equipment will replace the old one. For the ground elements, this is immediate. For planes, you need to have at least the new plane in production for at least 1 month before the new plane will be distributed to the air wings. Then we do have the supplies. It details every depot, how many trucks and how many supplies it has sent to other depots. There is one thing that I have to mention here. Now you see that some of these here, Saratov ships 8,000 tons of freight to Astrakhan, and so on and so forth. The exclamation marks indicate the freight that has been sent via ships. Because if you notice, all of these, Odessa, Sevastopol, Baku, Guriev, Odessa again, they are all coastal provinces. While the stars, again, I have no idea. Nobody knows. It's still a mystery of what do they indicate. Really, just don't ask questions about these. And we've seen the concept of rail points. Somewhere, I think. Yeah. So either they changed it, but in the past there used to be also the line rail points after moving resources, to give you an idea of how much of your rail capacity has been used in total. But yeah, I think this is a bug and should be um, restored. And here you have the movement of the resources between the production centers to the national supply sources. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty much self explanatory at this point. withdraw occurs when one of your units was withdrawn from the map to some other theater boxes. Yeah, sorry. Unlike the where is the arrival. Whoops. Production. It again gives you an idea of the basic of the generic ground elements that were built in the previous turn. It also gives you um, um, let's say a list of warnings of which factories were either isolated or did not have enough resources to produce what they were supposed to produce. And yeah, here you have the percentage of what has been produced in the previous turn. And here you have this very nice table that let's say summarizes all of the production phase in terms of factories and elements that have been built. And then last but not least, we do have the losses, which is there is a dedicated losses screen, which actually we can see it right now because this is a very short tutorial. But yeah, again, it's pretty much self explanatory. And then here you have the version of the patch. And yeah, for the losses screen, you have these here ground losses, all of the single elements that were lost. Here you have the numbers, you have the air losses, pretty much again self-explanatory. You can also filter here between the Axis and the Soviet logistics, air or ground movement phase. And then you also here you have the destroyed units, whether they are air bases or actual combat units that were present on the map. And yeah, so that's it already. I know this was not very exciting, but I want you to do it anyway. For those of you who are willing to explore the logistics phase report, and yeah, don't miss the next tutorial, because I think it will be again one of those very important tutorials in which we will talk about the commander's report. Until then, my friends, I wish you all the best. Stay safe, stay healthy, and well, I'll see you all in the next tutorial.